Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In this stream, we are going to get all the latest on Hurricane Milton, and I hope we can finally get a bunch of views because we haven't gotten any since January 6th happened when we accurately forecasted exactly what would happen that day before it happened because it was all simulated at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12th, 2020 with the Transition Integrity Project. Again, if you're new here, I haven't been able to get any views for many years, thanks to the algorithm and the deletion of channels. And once upon a time, when I covered the subject of weather warfare, I did pretty well. We've had several videos over the years get well over 100,000 views on the subject of weather warfare. These days, I'm lucky if they get 4,000 views. Supposedly, if you hit the like button, it helps a video do better in the algorithm. So for all you guys who stopped by here and never hit the like, if you could think about starting to hit that like, maybe somehow, some way, we can reach an audience. And again, that's why I've been here grinding for every single day for over 11 years to try and get out the word about things that people need to know about, like weather warfare, which is a very real thing, which is impacting the United States yet again in one of the worst ways we've seen it in our lifetimes. And sadly, last year when Maui got taken out with weather warfare, I said, just wait until The Rock, the former Miami Hurricane, turns 52 on May 2nd in 2024. Probably going to see one of the worst hurricane seasons ever. And it's looking like, sadly, that prediction's not wrong. So, again, we're in this stream, we're going to talk about Project Phoenix, something that happened back in 2010, the simulation of a Category 5 hitting Tampa, doing over 250 billion in damage and taking over 2,000 people's lives, and how that simulation was the forecast for this storm. We're going to talk about Jane Castor. In Greek mythology, there's Castor and Pollux. She's the mayor of Tampa Bay. She's the 59th mayor of Tampa Bay, in fact. And funny enough, when the storm makes landfall tomorrow on October 9th, it's going to be 59 days after the patent anniversary for HARP, the military technology that has the power to influence storms. But again, Castor, the Greek mythology of Castor and Pollux. Funny enough, there's a feast date for those two on July 15th. That is also Tampa's birthday. And we're going to look at how perfect this is and realize that it's no accident that she's the mayor at this time. If you look up what Castor means, it all begins to make a lot more sense. And also that surname just reminds me a little bit of spell casting. I put out a short video this morning on how the 5th governor of Florida was John Milton, and Hurricane Milton became a Category 5 yesterday, October 7th, the anniversary of him becoming the 5th governor of Florida. It was also the 163rd anniversary, which is the 38th prime number. And 38 is a number connected to death and destruction. It's part of why troops were first deployed to Vietnam on March 8th and a million other things beyond that. But in Gematria, Florida also equates to 38. And again, it's just a reminder that weather warfare, they pay tribute to history. It's high ritual, and it's going almost over everyone's head. You know, how many people living in Florida today even know that there was once upon a time a Governor Milton, who was the 5th, who became governor on October 7th, 1861. With regards to The Rock, it was passed on to me that he was inspired by a person who had Down syndrome whose name was Milton. And, to make a long story short, this hurricane is going to make landfall on Tampa, where The Rock used to watch his father wrestle, on the 161st day of The Rock's age. Back-to-back hurricanes smacking Florida. Helene, which was perfectly synced with The Rock, as we covered. And now on the 161st day of his age, where he grew up, Milton forecasted to smash. And he's talked about this young, or actually he looks young because he has Down syndrome, but he's actually a little bit older. But he says this is his inspiration in life, Milton. And there's a lot more to it, which we'll get to. If you go to if you go to this Milton guy's Facebook, his last post is from October 7th. Hold on. If you go to his Facebook, you can verify his last post is from October 7th, 2015, the day that it became a Category 5, 9 years later. And it said he was 50 years old then. So now that I think about it, that must mean he's 59 years old right now. So Milton must be 59, just like how we're in the time of the 59th mayor. And again, this storm's going to make landfall 59 days after the HARP patent anniversary. Yeah, and again, just became a Category 5 on 10/7, going to make landfall on 10/9, as we'll get to. The rock equals 109, weather equals 109, like military. The former Miami hurricane. Again, the date will make landfall October 9th, the day leaving 83 days left in the year. I just heard a projection. I was watching CNN. They project that Milton is going to impact the Tampa area with probably about 150-mile-per-hour winds. Remember, October 9th leaves 83 days left in the year. We're going to talk about Project Stormfury in a moment, the military's 21-year program experimenting with hurricanes, which ended in 1983. Again, Hurricane Helene just equaled 83. It formed 83 days before the Pope's birthday, again, on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech, September 25th. But remember, if you're new here, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. You learn this code, you see through the ritualism with all of these storms, as we've been talking about for now over a decade. But there's 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see the overlap with flood, earth, and Enlil. Again, Enlil's the Babylonian god of storms and flooding. And Genesis 8:3 is where the biblical flood ends after 150 days. So just think about that in light of CNN right now. If you turn it on, them talking about how they're estimating it's going to impact the Tampa area with 150-mile-per-hour winds. And the thing that's crazy is right now over Florida, there's piles of debris everywhere from the storm that just came through. Imagine all that debris flying around. It's like shrapnel. So, yeah, be careful, people in Florida. Yours truly has been here for over 11 years now, working hard to try and get out the word so these things didn't have to be happening in 2024. But again, the majority of the world has slept on the knowledge. And when you sleep on the truth, it comes back to haunt you in a major way. Of course, the rest of the fake truth community has been here ignoring this work, dismissing it, and selling T-shirts. But anyway, again, we'll recap things we talked about yesterday in case you missed that stream. The Notre Dame educated author who wrote Counting Miracles, which has a section about Hurricane Helene smashing the Carolinas and people's insurance not covering the damage. Again, that was published one day before Helene formed as a hurricane. Again, on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. It came to my attention that Asheville, the hardest hit area, is where they filmed a lot of the Hunger Games film. And it's also in the area that I circled in my first ever post on my blog. Originally, my work from August 2013 up until I started this blog, I did everything on my Facebook page. And then I started my first blog, and I showed how there was all this predictive programming for something so destructive coming to the Carolinas that was being put out in popular fiction, talked about by people from Byron Dorgren to Newt Gingrich to a number of other things. And I find it funny that it's 11 years later and that area just got terrorized by Helene. And we'll see where Milton goes after it goes through Florida. Hopefully it just goes out to the ocean and dissipates. But the psychopaths, you never know if they'll steer it up the seaboard again. So anyhow, this Project Phoenix, I would encourage you to go to the website and watch the 20-some minute video that they compiled in 2010. They did it like it's a real news story. They talk about it like Tampa's been leveled. They have to rebuild it from the ashes. Of course, that's where the whole legend of the phoenix comes from. The phoenix rises from the ashes. Remember, Manly P. Hall, he wrote the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. He wrote a lot of books, but his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, is where I learned about the whole letter and number code. He has another book called The Secret Destiny of America, where he says what really runs the country is something known as the Order of the Phoenix, who really brought about this nation to be a driving force in bringing about a one world order. And he wrote these books in the early 1900s. But yeah, Project Phoenix is a 2010 simulation about a Category 5 hurricane leveling, much of the city, destroying everything, no landmarks left, over 2,000 people dead who weren't able to evacuate. And it's funny, they say a 26-foot storm surge hits the coastline, wiping out the beaches. The word Phoenix has gematria 26. And again, that's how these people operate. Tampa Bay equates to 25, big number with Tampa Bay, especially with their rig sports teams. Again, I just think about all the people just funneling into the rig sports games as we've been exposing all this instead of getting educated about what's going on in the world. But helping these evil leagues out that murder their former players as all part of the ongoing ritual. Check this out. Project Phoenix, right? Let's just pull up the gematria calculator real quick. Project Phoenix, you see the 79? Look at Milton. Again, Milton has the 79, right? Hurricane Helene had this 79. Tampa Bay definitely has this 79. We're going to talk about the first military experiment with hurricanes that happened in 1947 as well. It's now 77 years later. We'll touch more on that. From Tampa Bay's birthday, July 15th, to the storm making landfall on October 9th in the Tampa area is going to be 137 days later. The name of the storm's 79. It was simulated that this storm would do $250 billion in damage. Key digits 25. So again, that Project Phoenix, Project Phoenix, not an accidental name. And yeah, again, when you have 20 minutes, I do encourage you to watch this. It reminds me of Clade X and Event 201. Again, the simulations for the pandemic before they happened. And don't forget, Clade X was done 666 days to the day of the pandemic being declared. Also, 2 years to the day of Trump declaring Operation Warp Speed. And again, it was simulated on Mercuralia, just like Trump became the father of the jab on Mercuralia. And that's to celebrate Mercury. And of course, that's the curious ingredient in jabs. And Google took down all the videos in 2012 questioning, the Mercury in jabs and said it was misinformation, even though it was mostly just parents who were talking about what happened to their children around age 2 when they got the second MMR pokey doke, including Jenny McCarthy. Now, this thing where they simulated this, they called it the Tampa Bay Catastrophic Plan. Here's what's wild about that. Do you see the 141? The Milton with Down syndrome, who The Rock is inspired by, his birthday is the 141st day of the year, May 21st. And the storm's going to make landfall 141 days later after this Milton, who The Rock is inspired by. And keep in mind, when you write out 33, it's 141. And again, Tampa Bay equals 137, which is the 33rd prime. And it's making landfall 137 days after the city's birthday. So for the record, also, Hurricane Phoenix is 82, whereas Milton's 83. Again, it's going to make landfall on the day, leaving 83 days left in the year. It's still going to be doing damage the day after, though. And they'll be talking about the devastation the day after, which is October 10th. That's Slick Willie's birthday, Gavin Newsom. But when you got 20 minutes, it might actually, I think it's 26 minutes long. Go figure. I think that's actually how long this Project Phoenix video is. Here, let me just pull it up real quick. Oh, snap. That's the screenshot. Oh no, it's 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes long. Again, if you're in the area, could be helpful information, and it could help you prepare for what's to happen, because we've seen how exact these simulations have been before. It's more like a dress rehearsal. Okay, now Mayor Castor, she has the birthday of Pearl Harbor Day. Sure talked about that day a lot with what happened to Maui last year. But notice she's the 59th mayor of Tampa. And again, this storm is going to hit 59 days after the anniversary of the HARP patent, which is August 11th, 1987. And just for the record, to know more about why that is the HARP patent date, that's the 223rd day of the year. Natural disaster equals 223. Again, this is a weapon that can essentially make it look like it was a natural disaster. It stands for, HARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which also equals 223, going with the patent date being the 223rd day of the year. And it was a date with 44 numerology. HARP equals 44, like military. It does have the power to quake the ground as well. Earthquake, 44. So, remember what I said about the Rock and the Scorpion King and the Scorpions? We already called one earthquake dead on this year in California, and why it was going to happen August 6th. And the next date that's synced up with the same pattern we're looking at is October 23rd, the first day of Scorpio. East is getting hit with hurricanes. West might be getting hit with something like 1989 World Series earthquake. But yeah, look at this. So again, Tampa's establishment date is July 15th. The mayor is Jane Castor. Castor and Pollux are part of Greek mythology, the twin gods, the patrons of sailors, talking about water here. And again, Tampa has the same birthday as the feast date for Castor and Pollux. And again, Tampa established July 15th, 1887. It's 137 years old. The city's 137 years old. You know what? I was screwing up earlier and saying it was 137 days after the city's birthday. Excuse me. The city is 137 years old. This storm is hitting 86 days after the city's birthday. And again, 86 is not a nice number. Think about Hiroshima on 8/6. It had to do with why we predicted there'd be the earthquake in California this year on August 6th. 96 days after the Rock's birthday, when he's in San Andreas, and San Andreas equals 96. And the premise of that movie is there's a 9.6 mega quake. Again, in this case, Castor equals 86, the mayor's name, 86 days after the feast date and the city's birthday. Again, in recent years, we talked about how many times they've referred to these storms as bomb cyclones, nuclear storms, targeted storms. Again, the nearly 50 years of weapons testing way up high in the sky and underneath the ground. Since then, the evolution of weaponry like HARP. So notice from the mayor Castor's birthday, Pearl Harbor Day, talk about military, until the storm makes landfall, it's exactly 44 weeks into her age. Castor and Pollux are known as the Dioscuri, if I'm saying that correctly. But regardless, the spelling's correct, and so is the gematria, which equals 44. Again, like military has the connection to 44, like HARP, like the HARP patent date has 44 date numerology. And again, it's going to be 59 days after that patent anniversary, and she's the 59th mayor. The whole thing about Tampa Bay being 137 years old, the 33rd prime, the guy that CNN has on the news this morning says he's never seen anything like this in his 33 years serving the area. They're evacuating Hillsborough County first. Hillsborough equals 146, like hurricane. Remember, hurricane and Hurricane Helene both equal 146. It formed exactly 146 days after the rock's birthday. Power outage also equals 146. Again, storms take out the power. Remember, the group Public Enemy, the hip-hop group, they put out the album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech, September 25th, 2020. And we used that album coming out. It showed the cover of Arizona on the album. We said, that's interesting, because from the day the album came out to Arizona's birthday is 142 days, and that day can be written 14/2. Arizona's birthday is Valentine's Day. It and Oregon are the Valentine's Day states. And remember, the patent date for HARP is the day, leaving 142 days left in the air. But we predicted there'd be crazy weather on that day, taking out power in parts of the nation, synced up with the album. Exactly what happened. Houston was without power for over a week. My home state, Oregon, Portland was without power for over a week. Atlanta lost power for a number of days. Crazy weather from coast to coast, knocked out power grids all over. These things are not an accident. Predictive programming is a real thing. They use the world of entertainment and celebrity to forecast their plans, like The Rock, the Miami Hurricane, who's 52 on 5-2. You know what else I noticed? That this mayor was sworn into office on May 1st, May Day. That's also the Illuminati's birthday. Remember, Illuminati has that gematria 150, like how they're estimating it's going to make landfall with 150 mile per hour winds. Adam Weishaupt equals 51, the founder of the Illuminati, founded it May 1st, 1776, just before this nation. We've seen that 51 and 150 come together many a times. Hello, what they did with the Dallas Mavericks ownership this past year. 150 weeks after the death of Adelstein, and then his wife took over the team on the 51st day of her age, when Dallas Mavericks also equals 51 and 150, and their establishment anniversary is also May 1st, and then they go to the finals this year, and the Adelstein family runs casinos, rig sports, rig weather. By the way, did you see that Castor and Pollux are associated with sports? Do I have to remind you about Katrina and how the Saints went to Super Bowl 44? The wiping out of parts of New Orleans had a lot to do with the number 44. Again, HARP and military. Katrina equals 52, like hurricane, like how old the rock is. Okay, so yeah, that's the mayor piece of it. They got the chessboard perfectly set. They always do. They got the chess. You know who I forgot to look at is old Ronald McDonald DeSantis. Ronald versus Donald for so long. Mr. McDonald's beat Ronald DeSantis. I know DeSantis' birthday is September 14th. I don't even have to look it up. However, I can't remember exactly how old he is right now. Well, that means it's gonna. Oh wow, that means it's gonna be. Okay, so that means that the storm's gonna hit 25 days after his birthday, like Flood is 25, or his 26th day of his age, like Phoenix is 26, and the simulation was Hurricane Phoenix. Hold on though, how many years old is Ron DeSantis right now? He's 46. 46 was a number in Operation Cumulus, which was one of the first acts of weather warfare. Could be something to that as well. The flood is 46, I remember right? Or no, it's flooding. Is that what it is? Flooding is 46. That's what it is. Flooding. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Okay. Again, John Milton, Hurricane Milton, you just got to say, like, how's it even possibly a coincidence that it became a Category 5 on the anniversary of him becoming the 5th governor of Florida? And then again, he's a descendant of John Milton, the English poet who wrote Paradise Lost. If you watch the Hurricane Phoenix simulation from 2010, you won't miss what's said right about 10 minutes into the video about the paradise being lost. Yeah, check it out. These people, man, they are so wicked, evil genius. Again, it became a Category 5 on 10/7. Military's 107. 163rd anniversary, 38th prime. Florida's 38 like death. His death anniversary, April 1st, April Fool's Day. From that anniversary to the flood making landfall, or yeah, it will be the flood. The hurricane making landfall is 193 days later. That I'm misspeaking. It's 191 days later, the 43rd prime. So again, it's 163 years, the anniversary of the Category 5. That's the 38th prime. It's 191 days after his death anniversary. It's going to make landfall. That's the 43rd prime number. Big numbers in Florida. Remember when George W. Bush became president, one of the mini rig selections, pretty much all we get in this country. His brother was the 43rd governor in Florida. Their daddy was the 43rd vice president. The two that became president went to Yale. Apparently, Jeb wasn't smart enough to get in, even though he seemed smarter than his brother that was the president when he couldn't formulate a sentence. America didn't blink an eye. And again, you guys, really, like, I know a lot of people who are going to get wiped out by this storm. I mean, it might sound mean, but it's like, I'm sorry you had it coming. You didn't question anything. You cheered along for these evil men who occupied the highest land in office. You lived in the state where the biggest crime ever in terms of elections in our lifetime happened. I mean, the 2000 election it's why I've never voted. I was 17. I was a senior in high school. And I mean, I was nobody's fool back then, you know. I just knew this country was a joke. I knew it was a joke. And then 9/11 happened, an even bigger joke, a national emergency on 911 while a hurricane was off the coast of New York that day. Some kind of energy was being used. Those buildings turned to dust as they crumbled to the ground. I don't know how nobody else saw it. It was so obvious they kept showing you the replay. But again, this is why I've been speaking out really since then. I've been nonstop at it every day for over 11 years since 2013. But I've seen how evil this nation is and the people who run it, and then all I see is a bunch of lemmings that just want to participate in all the crap and believe in all the lies on the TV and never look into the right things or ask the right questions. And this is why this is still happening, and this is why we, the people, haven't shut this down, because we could have. We could have shut this down if we woke up, got rid of the federal government, got the keys to the military back, people pressing to get more and more answers. We know it's the Jesuit cabal that runs all this. Again, the first act of weather warfare was admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday. Founders at the beginning of this nation warned what would happen when the Jesuits came out of suppression. They run this nation, gave us the calendar and the language, and they do hold the keys to the military. And all of that needs to be done away with. Until all these things are rid from the earth, this is going to continue to happen. And that's the kind of stuff that should be happening. There should be a worldwide revolution against this cabal. By the way, just in like how they're trying to bring back the Civil War by the numbers, and don't forget how Lincoln did blame the American Civil War on the Jesuits. Look it up; it's facts. And John Surratt, the Jesuits, the one that got away, so they executed his mother. And when I say got away, he was part of the assassination of Lincoln that supposedly happened in a theater. It's pretty curious. All the parallels with Lincoln and Kennedy and Oswald getting chased through the theater. Kennedy riding around in a Lincoln. Number 35 killed on I-35 in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason when Jesuit priests wrote the rights of the Scottish Rite. But yeah, about the whole Civil War thing and this guy being part of the Civil War, this fifth governor of Florida, look, American Civil War equals 109. It's also 161, like how it's going to make landfall on the 161st day of the Rock's age. And the American Civil War 80 in the Rock is interesting too, because the Rock's 80 and Miami Hurricanes is 80 and 161. The way they intertwine it all, like sometimes I just decide to leave out deals because it even makes my head spin too much. But yeah, in the Phoenix Hurricane Phoenix simulation, they use the phrasing "paradise lost." It's just like you feel like you're just taking uppercuts to the chin when you're aware of what's going on, and really we are. You know, I feel for the people in Florida the most right now, but really, guys, this impacts everybody in the nation. Everybody's insurance rates are skyrocketing, taxes will go up, and these are all the excuses. And again, it's because this nation's not sovereign. It hasn't been for a long time. And founders told you that. If there's ever a central bank, they told you the nation's not sovereign anymore. The people that control the central bank are not Americans. Every time there's an act of devastation, a war, it's a profit opportunity for them, and it's a big bill for us. When the taxpayers, pay for these things, we pay interest, and the bankers collect. And that's what it is. Psychopaths who rule over this world, who have no respect for seemingly anything, seemingly not even themselves. I mean, you're going to destroy the earth. Like, how's that not also hurting them at the same time? These people are so psychotic, they don't see that. Seemingly, they don't see that. Either that or they don't care. Same people that gave us the Bible as we know it, with Revelation bringing about the destruction of the end of the world, and they've convinced so many people that religion's the truest and only one that matters. Go to church and eat Jesus' body and drink his blood, and just wait until fire rains from the sky. That's why every time that Adele song comes on the radio, I'm like, they probably got that worked out too. We're probably going to see that one day. Set fire to the rain. Can't wait. It might be in 2025. Wait until we get this Air Force document that's 52 pages from 1996. Controlling the weather by 2025. Guess they got there early. Yeah, this one right here though is just killing me, man. I'm going to show you why they did this with a person who has Down syndrome. It's sick, man. So again, Milton with Down syndrome is The Rock's inspiration in The Rock's very scripted life. And again, we've been calling this out for a long time. Just wait until The Rock's 52, how bad it's going to get. Here we are. His birthday is 5/2. Part of the reason he's chosen. And you got, hey, look at this. What day was the Weather Channel established? Can you guys guess? What day was the Weather Channel established? Check this one out. Oh, wait. It's saying July 18th. See? Look how Google's changing things. All right, look how over here it says founded May 2nd. Like, okay, but it didn't say July 18th when I just checked this the other day. Okay, now it says July 18th here and May 2nd here. Okay. Can you see that on the side it says May 2nd? Google is always changing information. Now we got a different year and date. Okay, I'm pretty sure May 2nd's the real one. 18/7 is no slouch of a date either. That's another special day to the Jesuits, but anyway, just a few days ago, Google had one answer and it was May 2nd. But again, we live in George Orwell's 1984. Understand that, especially with this age where we don't have printed things so much anymore. We're getting everything in a digital world, which can quickly be edited. So, all right, but yes, The Rock grew up in the Tampa area. Played for the Miami Hurricanes. Gematria 161. Storm's going to smash on the 161st day of his age. You could also say that it's going to hit 160 days after his birthday. You'll notice that in the Project Phoenix simulation of Hurricane Phoenix, in that simulation, the hurricane hits Tampa with 160-mile-per-hour winds. So 160 days after The Rock's birthday, or the 161st day of his age. And again, going to hit on 10/9, The Rock 109, like military, like weather. The name of the person with Down syndrome who inspired The Rock, his name is Milton McBride Rosen, which equals 107, also like military, like how this storm became a Category 5 on 10/7. Again, the anniversary of the 5th governor of Florida, John Milton, taking office. And again, if you go to his Facebook page, his last post is from October 7th, 2015, when he was 50. So 9 years later, must be 59. And the time of the 59th mayor, again, the storm hit in 59 days after the anniversary of the Hart patent. And he also had this post on September 11th, 2015. The world will soon get to know and see the Milton story. 9/11 of all days, huh? And then notice how Down syndrome overlaps with hurricane. And we live in this age, right, with all this science and advancement and technological advancement, but we also live in this age where there's just way more disease and illness and autism and even things like Down syndrome. And again, how the scientific world acts like it's clueless about so many of these things, and it's a mystery that they're constantly trying to solve, and they got to have another fundraiser and raise another $1 billion this year to maybe get the answers, but then they don't. So next year they'll do the same thing over again, and or there's even more disease and illness the next year, and even more questions and question marks. Again, I think you just get down to it. It's just because of all this crazy military experimentation across the world, all of the artificial, fake, synthetic stuff that's everywhere, all of the mass agriculture with all the chemicals in Monsanto products, et cetera, et cetera. It's just we've gotten away from the natural world. We've tried to create this world where chemicals. If you guys don't know Kurt Vonnegut, he's always been my favorite author. His first book is about a man trying to fight the evils of the world, but he can't because the machines run it all. Anyway, Kurt Vonnegut had an insight into the world because of his older brother, who was one of the highest ranking scientists at General Electric, who's a part of the history of weather warfare. Again, Kurt Vonnegut's book right here, Cat's Cradle, one of his most known books, is about the mad science inventing something called Ice 9 that has the power to destroy the world. But yeah, Kurt Vonnegut used to also write like how chemicals also control everything, and our moods and our behaviors and how we turn out. And I mean that's what happened in this world. The Dows and the Monsantos and big money. It became big profits over big people, but it also became convenience too. That's part of the reason people went along with it. They're like, well, man, life's just way easier now. My ancestors had to work that farm. That was tough. Now I can just go down to the Kroger and get me some Cheeto snacks. And next thing you know, everybody looks like all they eat is Cheeto snacks. Well, it's easy. I got my video games and my Cheeto snacks. When I get hungry, sometimes I eat some Doritos or some Fritos. Okay. Yeah, it's just sorry, my computer was having one of those little hiccups. I have one of these Intel-based Macs, and they switched over to their new processors, and now they say they have no support for the Intel. I've never had a Mac that got so slow and sluggish so fast, but their reason is, well, you're going to want to go buy one of our new ones with the new Mac chips because we don't offer any more support for our Intel systems. Like, well, I'm glad I spent all this money. And the reason I don't like Mac, hey, don't Mac and all these big tech companies are part of the surveillance system. The reason I've bought Macs is because I just noticed, 20 years ago, they lasted a lot longer than your typical PC. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. Anyway, this one's been a disappointment. Okay. Yeah, just one more time. October 9th leaves 83 days left in the year. We're about to talk about the military program that lasted 21 years, Project Stormfury, the military experimentation with hurricanes that they say was a bust. Yeah, by the way, if you missed my presentation yesterday just about Naomi Klein's book, The Shock Doctrine, and how it's largely focused on Milton Friedman, the father of disaster capitalism. And she talks about the aftermath of Katrina, how his theories were on full display. Just again, Milton Friedman equals 225 and 81, not unlike Hurricane Milton, which also equals 225 and 81. And we'll see what's happening on October 11th, the day leaving 81 days left in the year with Milton. Hopefully it's out in the sea doing nothing rather than going up the seaboard again, terrorizing more places. But that remains to be seen. And Yeah, and, again, just to remind this author who went to Notre Dame, Catholic educated, again, it's the Jesuits running the show. Notre Dame equals 95. He just put out this book the day before Helene formed, again, on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech about a Hurricane Helene terrorizing the Carolinas. It is significant that he went to Notre Dame and that Notre Dame equals 95 because September 27th, the day the rain stopped on Carolina, after causing all that devastation in Appalachia, that's the day leaving 95 days left in the year. And some people might say, well, he might have talked about Hurricane Helene because there was a Helene that hit the Carolinas 66 years earlier. Again, like in Genesis 6:6, God regrets making mankind, so he washes them away with a flood. And again, that happened in 58, the last Helene. This guy's 58 years old right now. Biblical equals 58. And, he talks about Asheboro, which is on the 79th meridian west. Again, Hurricane Helene equaled 79. And Asheville's not far away. And, Asheboro also has the 83 connection. Somebody sent me another screenshot of the book, that the book in the section about the flooding brings up an 83-year-old man as well. So, I mean, that's how you can just see that these guys, like this guy's a famous author. His book, The Notebook, was made into a best-selling movie. One of these mega-rich authors that becomes a New York Times bestseller who gets blasted everywhere. You just see how these people have something standing behind them. Like pretty much everyone on the world stage, they have talent, but there's a lot of very talented people in the world who never make it anywhere, who never get any recognition for their work. You might be looking at one of them right now. Again, it's because we're not part of the cabal. And, meanwhile, this guy's perfectly got his book coded out with the perfect release date, with just the right age character dealing with the flood. It's just, these things aren't an accident. And, honestly, even when I look back at Vonnegut's work now, he was born into a family of prominence, and he was still a very good guy. Every book he wrote is so truthful. But when I go back and read some of his books now, like when I used to read Vonnegut when I was a teenager, didn't know a thing about gematria. But now I look at some of the numbers and stuff I talked about. I'm like, did he do that or did his publisher do that? And it could be the same thing with this guy as well. Maybe his publisher comes through and goes, nah, that character's not going to be 50. We want him to be 83. And he's like, okay, whatever. 83 works. Just send me my check. But yeah, again, you guys, Genesis 8:3, where the biblical flood ends after 150 days. CNN right now forecasting this is going to hit the Tampa area on the day leaving 83 days left in the year with 150-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, you don't see it. By the way, you look up what Castor and Pollux have to do with. They also have to do with light. Helene means shining light. Illuminati. Well, what's that mean? That means in the light, right? They say the sun's up. I got to spell it right. Illuminati 150. They say the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. The thing that illuminates the world. Remember, Order of Illuminati 201, the moon landing on the 201st day of the year, the illuminated rock in the sky. Neil Alden Armstrong, the man on the moon 201. Let's not forget that weather control equals 177, 69, and 201, like the Jesuit order, and the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, and he died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. And of course, Lyndon Johnson said, who controls the weather controls the world. 201 days after JFK died at Jesuit Holy Cross. And earlier this year, that crazy thing in Dubai, that crazy flooding there, and we pointed out that day it was 201 days before JFK's weather control speech to the United Nations. And next thing you know, Hurricane Helene's forming and causing crazy devastation to the U.S. 201 days later. Again, it's a world affair, and it shows you. I mean, none of these nations are sovereign. It's the Illuminati, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, the Illuminati founded by a Jesuit. What's in the middle of the Jesuit logo? The Templar cross. The original bankers are Templars. All wars are bankers' wars. Yesterday, as this became a Category 5 on the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan, on the anniversary of what just happened in Israel by the numbers, Category 5, they're like, oh, yeah, there's going to be crazy damage. And the bankers are like this. They're like, oh, yeah, can we invent a Category 6? That's what they're saying. Can we hit the whole state at once? We could make so much. But yeah, it's just, biblical, using the Bible as a playbook. Same thing I've been saying the whole time. People don't want to listen. I saw this back with Genesis 11:9 and the destruction of the World Trade Centers. Genesis 11:9 is where the Tower of Babel story ends, the tower that divides the world. After 9/11, everybody pointing their fingers at different religions. Bush says we're going to have a crusade against those Muslims over there. 60 Minutes, or was it CBS, was like the only news network that covered the story of the dancing Israelis who were arrested in New Jersey, who said they were there to document the attacks and ship back to Israel. Like, whoa, why isn't everyone else covering this story? Only the All-Seeing Eye Network? But then anyone who saw that was like, whoa, it looks like those Jews in Israel did it. And then the Muslim people getting crusaded on are like, it's those damn Christians. Again, biblical division, the story being brought to life, nobody catching the jokes. You think all these people that went to seminary school and studied to be ministers would have been all over it and harping on about it the same way I was? But by the way, shout out to Amy, cracked their code. Her town got hit by this storm, and I hope she's doing all right, because her and I were supposed to connect and do a live stream last night, but I haven't heard from her. She said her house wasn't hit by the last storm, but I don't know. Maybe just the trauma and realizing it's coming again, and then it might be coming again one more time after that, and they might keep it going through all of October. They might bring it into November. But yeah, yesterday, if you haven't read this, I mean, just read the whole section here. I read it yesterday. He gets into about how the insurance isn't covering the destruction of people's property from Helene. And again, we saw how Florida canceled everyone's a lot of insurance companies backed out of Florida earlier this year because they knew what was coming. Because it's planned. It was simulated 14 years ago. And yeah, with all this 83 business, just look, Project Stormfury from 1962 to 1983. You go and read about it. They say the military discovered they couldn't really have any influence on hurricanes. Oh, see? And you know what? That's all it takes to fool a lot of people. They'll be like, well, I looked it up online and it said the military said they couldn't figure anything out. So I don't think that could be it because I just read it from the government website. It's just like, okay. Some of you guys really do deserve to get washed into the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf. And I say that half jokingly, but really like more like I feel like the wrath of God in Genesis 6:6. I'm just so tired of living in Stupidville. And just people's willful ignorance and how gullible they are and how they keep turning on the TV that does nothing but lie to them and keep them in the dark and believing in either of these political parties. I mean, like I see there's the QAnon people right now are acting like it's the Democrats waging the storms to keep people from voting for Trump because it's mostly a Republican part of the country. How did that Republican administration do when Katrina hit Louisiana? I mean, you got to stop with the political crap. Both of these parties serve the same cabal. But yeah, until 1983, Project Stormfury was an ambitious experimental program of research on hurricane modification carried out between 1962 and 1983. The proposed modification technique involved artificial stimulation of convection outside of the eye wall through seeding with silver iodide. Now, you know who invented that was Kurt Vonnegut's brother, Bernard Vonnegut, when he worked at General Electric. And again, that's what this book is warning about. These crazy scientists who have the capability to destroy the world. And he calls it Ice 9 in Cat's Cradle. The invigorated convection, it was argued, would compete with the original eye wall, lead to reformation of the eye wall at larger radius, and thus, through partial conservation of angular momentum, produce a decrease in the strongest winds. Now, they said ultimately it didn't work. Remember, HARP was patented 4 years later. So I'm sure they took away things that they learned in the 21 years and improved upon it. And I have no doubt this is why they're doing all this with 83 right now, with Helene and Milton, that are slamming back to back, both perfectly synced with The Rock. You know, The Rock, the football player who was once a Miami Hurricane. Again, football's got that 83 too, just like 43. You know, hockey's getting underway with the Carolina Hurricanes, and Cam Ward used to be the goalie for that team. Like Cam Ward's the current quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. And remember, his name, Cameron Ward, equals 52. And his birthday is the 146th day of the year, like Hurricanes 52 and 146. And again, Hurricane Helene formed 146 days after the Rock's 52nd birthday and was impacting Florida on the night the Hurricanes became 5-0, as we predicted before the season began, because then they'd go out to San Francisco 5-0, the Rock's hometown, where the 1989 World Series earthquake happened exactly 24 weeks after his birthday. And he's in San Andreas now as California turns 174 years old in 2024. And he was also the Scorpion King. And again, California had the 5.2 earthquake in Bakersfield 96 days after his birthday. And now Scorpio begins on October 23rd, 174 days after his birthday, which will also be 44 days after the state of California's birthday. And earthquakes 44 and 107 like military. And we talked about the headline yesterday about the earthquake in Iran that they think was blamed on a nuclear experiment. Anyway, The Rock, a larger-than-life celebrity. Oh, by the way, Stormfury, 52, the name of the hurricane experiment. Stormfury, 52, just like Scorpions is 52. Remember the band, the Scorpions? From their song Rock You Like a Hurricane to Helene forming was 239 days later, the 52nd prime. And the singer for the Scorpions has the same birthday as Cam Ward, the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. And don't forget, Cam Ward was playing in Eastern Washington last year at Washington State University, and on the same day the storm formed outside of Florida was the same day a massive windstorm happened in Eastern Washington. You can look up the images of that. And what else am I forgetting that we should recap? Oh, yeah. The Scorpions are from Germany, you know, where those Nazi scientists once were, who were brought over to other parts of the world, including the U.S. and Project Paperclip. And one of the things they said the Nazis were trying to do was figure out how to use the weather as a weapon. So, isn't it amazing how it all fits together? Again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt in Germany. Hitler modeled the SS after the Jesuit order. First act of weather warfare in 52 on August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday. All right, so yeah, Stormfury until 83. Paula, she dropped the super chat saying, look up Project Cirrus. That happened in October. Project Cirrus was the first military experiment with a hurricane in 47. And why do you think they called it Cirrus? Cirrus 47, right? It's also 74, like the qualifying wind speeds for a hurricane are 74 miles per hour. The thing about Cirrus equaling 34, remember Milton also equals 34, and it's going to make landfall 34 days before the Superior General's birthday, which again is 69 days before the Pope's birthday. But Cirrus has the 47 as well, and I mean, let's hope it's not, but they're making it sound like this could maybe be the worst hurricane to ever hit Florida. And Tampa Bay is also 47. And it's 77 years since that experiment. And remember, United States is 77. And what's it called? NOAA? How do they do it? NOAA. Yeah, all these articles are from NOAA, by the way. If you think I got these from some conspiracy website about Stormfury and Project Cirrus, no, I got them from NOAA's website. The Atlantic Oceanographic and Meteorological Laboratory, NOAA, which reminds us of Noah's Ark, which is biblical, right? Just nothing but jokes. But isn't it interesting how this was 47 years ago 77 years ago, and Noah does equal 77? Happened on the 13th, Noah's 13. I mean, that's curious. That is curious. But yeah, October, here we are. Not far from the 77th anniversary. It's just days away. What it stands for, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. That's actually what it stands for. I don't know what I was just reading a second ago, but that's 263, the 56 prime. Going with Hurricane. General Electric, what was part of the experiment? Look at the gematria of General Electric. General Electric, 7488. Oh, 137. Like how Tampa's 137 years old right now. It's nice. Pretty sure the electricity is going to be out. Cirrus, 8874. General Electric. It was their scientist who made the discovery that led to the experiment, which led to Kurt Vonnegut eventually writing this book as a warning. For the record, Project Cirrus, put the project in front of it, 67. Water, 67. Project Cirrus, 86. Tampa about to get hit 86 days after its birthday. And you know what's wild? Again, the book warning about this, Cat's Cradle. Check out the gematria of Cat's Cradle. Cat's Cradle, 67, 86. You know, I saw Sweet Lady's intuition tells her that her baby is going to be born on November 11th because she just says she's never seen 11/11. So she says like every time she checks the clock each day at work, it's 11/11. It's just been blowing her away. And again, Sweet Lady and I, you know, we've been together for 11 years and having our first child in the 11th month. But I started thinking about that more, and it reminded me, my favorite author is Vonnegut. That's his birthday, November 11th. Sweet Lady's birthday is George Orwell's birthday, June 25th, and my birthday is July 21st, which is Ernest Hemingway's birthday. If our first child is born on Kurt Vonnegut's birthday, I'm just gonna, I don't know, my head might spin off. So, especially with all this going on right now, it's like, okay, life is just way stranger than fiction. Oh yeah. The experiment was done in the Berkshire Mountains. Berkshire Mountains. Guess what it equals? 86. So remember, Manly P. Hall wrote his book about the encoding of numbers into words in 1926. So you know, this is 21 years later. It was going on. Oh yeah, it was a cloud seeding experiment. How could I forget cloud seeding? Or hold on. No, I screwed something up here. Something's wrong. Oh, I see what it is. I wrote down the wrong thing. I meant to write 206 here, not 86. The man who invented the cloud seeding technology, the General Electric scientist, Vincent Schaefer, and then it was Vonnegut's brother, also at General Electric, who came up with the silver iodide thing. It's weird that he died at 87 and this stuff's happening while the Pope's 87. But he died on the 206th day of the year. The man who invented this cloud seeding technology, cloud seeding 206. It's also 55, and he died on 25/7, like 257's the 55th prime. And remember, like blood sacrifice equals 257, and again 55th prime. So the cloud seeding inventor. It was 93 the year they officially established the heart facility as well. Let's see. HARP establishment date. The patent date was 1987, like the age he died at. I think the first construction of the heart facility began in 93. Interesting. And you know, this is shortly after Bill Clinton took office that he died, and Bill Clinton had just stopped the weapons testing program, blowing up the big bombs high up in the sky, in the atmosphere, and also underground. Just I need to go back and find the exact date. I know it was, I want to say it was in February, right before the 96 World Trade Center bombing. But I just out of curiosity, the day Clinton took office. 186 days later, the 187th day. Interesting. Clinton's Jesuit educated, went to Georgetown. By the way, the place where they made these discoveries in New York, the town Schenectady. How do you say it? Schenectady? Schenectady? Schenectady. You got to be from there to know how to say that one. But I mean, the same gematria as military in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. You know what I mean? And even that 55 as well. Talked about the 45, 44, and 55 for the name of Pollux and Castor and how that fit in with Mayor Castor there in Tampa. Vonnegut's brother, Bernard Vonnegut, says started working there at General Electric in 1945, so at the end of World War II. You know, same time. His brother was in Germany when they bombed Dresden. That's what his book Slaughterhouse 5 is about. Witnessing the Allied forces. If you guys didn't know that, the first time napalm was ever used was bombing the refugee camp, killing all the refugees at the end of World War II. See, that's why when they tell you about how evil these other things are, it's like, listen, there's no even historical proof that any of the stuff you're saying these other people did, but there is historical proof that they used napalm. The West, the U.S., it was U.S. and Britain who used napalm for the first time in the history of the world on refugees, people who were trying to stay out of the war. And that's where they were throughout World War II in Dresden, which was the artsy area. The U.S. and Britain dropped napalm on over 100,000 people, burning them to death. And I know that the U.S. tries to downplay that number, but you do your research, you'll find out most people say there was at least 100,000 people there that were killed with napalm. And they didn't want anything to do with the war. But the U.S. and Britain killed them at the end of the war anyway. And Vonnegut was there underground as a prisoner of war in a Nazi base. And that's their excuse, is that the Nazis were also around the area. But it's like, really, to burn fire from the sky, It says Vonnegut left General Electric in 52. Isn't that funny? In 67, he became a professor at the University of Albany. So, he died in 97. Hurricane equals 97. The anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. The day leaving 95 days left in the year. The day Helene formed. His silver iodide discovery is what they used in that Project Stormfury for 21 years, trying to have an impact on hurricanes. Think it's an accident that he dies in 97? I don't think so at all. And what's sad is his brother, who's the author, he died on 11/4, supposedly after falling off a ladder. It's a story that also doesn't really make a lot of sense. But Vonnegut's associated with there's a movement to never have another world war, and Vonnegut's the face of that movement. They made him the face of the movement because he, as a prisoner of war who witnessed that, he's always spoken out against war. But he dies on 11/4 after falling off a ladder. Yeah. You want to make it in this world? I'm still not mad at Vonnegut. All the books he wrote were great for the world, but somewhere he might have signed on the line too. Because he does talk about how once upon a time he was a very poor author who couldn't get any money or work, and then all of a sudden he was just swimming in cash. All right, but yeah, 1947, the first time the military tried to experiment with hurricanes. And again, this is all from Noah's website. So it's like my sister. See, my sister's the type of person where I couldn't even start to talk about it. She'd be like, I don't want to hear about any conspiracy theories. Like, I'm reading from Noah's website. Never heard of it. You know, that's what she does. Like, just like goes into this state of like just denies everything. It's just like, how come you only listen to Martha Stewart, Oprah Winfrey, and oh, what's that one guy whose producer died last Christmas? George Stephanopoulos. Or was that 2 Christmases ago that his producer just dropped dead at like, what was he, age 40? Oh, that's normal. All right. Yeah, and then this is just unbelievable to me too. This is supposedly a document written by an Air Force student. Remember, the Air Force was created with the CIA and the National Intelligence Act, September 18th, 1947. Also 1947. Big year was 47. Again, if you guys are new here, one of my mottos is, what is 47? What it is it's the number of time and authority in the cabal, and a lot of high rituals done in 47. Like Tampa Bay's got that 47 encode, and they might get the impacts of 77 years of research from that, again, study that started in 47 that we just talked about. But anyway, this is an Air Force essay written in 96, owning the weather by 2025 for military strategic purposes. It goes into how it can benefit the U.S. military, how it could be used against enemies. Obviously, I mean, what else would it be about? But concepts described include precipitation, fog, storms, exploitation of near space for space control, opportunities afforded by space weather modification, communications dominance via ionospheric modification. Remember, that's what HARP is. HARP modifies the ionosphere, and this was written 3 years after construction began for that. Artificial weather. But just to make a long story short, look how many pages. Look how many pages it is, you guys. It's 52 pages long. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. What student wrote this? Come on. He knew more than the other students in the class. Again, first act of weather warfare in 52, just how flood, earth, and Lillard 52, hurricanes 52. I've been harping on about this literally for over a decade about weather in 52. And you know what we've been harping on about? 2025. Again, and they live. They live and they live. They have complete control of the world by 2025. Movie that came out 201 days after Roddy Piper's birthday. Roddy Piper, who tweeted on the Jesuit Order's anniversary, September 27th, the day he tweeted that They Live was a documentary, and then he ends up dying on the anniversary of Ignatius Loyola's death. But They Live, complete control of the world by 2025. The they types in the movie, and again, the Deagle website used to show a massive catastrophe coming to Earth because the population taking a dip in 2025. The SPARS 2025 pandemic. Right now, the whole left in the political sphere is so focused on the Heritage Foundation document, something 2025. Remember, Amazon put out the movie Lockdown 2025 right after the George Floyd thing happened that was pointing to the year 2025. If you weren't here at the time, we were showing how the George Floyd thing was pointing to 2025 by what they encoded. And then next thing you know, Amazon's got a movie about a race war breaking out and fire raining from the sky in 2025. What? Remember Adele, she came out a few months back and she said, you're not going to see her for a long, long time. What was that about? It's funny. Sweet Lady and I were in the car the other day, and that song came on the radio, Adele, Fire to the Rain. I said to her, I'm worried that someday they're going to do this. And then the next song that came on was In Vogue's, on the same radio station, was In Vogue's Never Gonna Get It. And she's like, see, Zach, I think this song came on because that's never going to happen. And I was like, I didn't say anything back. She don't argue for Sweet Lady. But in my mind, I was like, I think it came on because she's never going to get it. You know, she'll get what I'm talking about, how serious this is with the weather warfare. And a lot of us don't even want to think about this stuff. By the way, shout out to In Vogue. Every single one of those ladies can sing 25,000 times better than Taylor Swift. And each one of them deserve to be a 25,000 times bigger celebrity than that mediocre trash who sacrifices young girls at her concert down where they signed off on the climate accords in a big 201 ritual in Rio de Janeiro back in 92 for Agenda 21. If you guys missed that joke, Taylor Swift, part of this cabal, mediocre trash being pushed everywhere, making all the young girls worship mediocrity. Just show those young girls some in vogue. They should be able to discern the difference. Real talent versus mediocre trash. But I don't care what anyone says. In Vogue, you can take all the lady groups ever made. Those girls sing better than any of them ever. It's too bad In Vogue didn't keep it together. Everyone's fighting over money. But anyway, actually, from what I understand, a couple of girls in that group really got ripped off. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, if you missed my work when the girl died at the Taylor Swift concert, supposedly because it was too hot down there, it wasn't even that hot. That was a sick joke paying tribute to the history of the international climate deal down there, and realize all these storms help them further their agenda. See, it's the climate change. Let's look at let's look at the other evidence that's never talked about. And it just drives me nuts, you guys, that we have this media that has zero investigative journalism, nothing but nonstop propaganda. And it doesn't matter if you're watching Fox, CNN, MSNBC. Yeah, they'll keep people in different political lanes because that's all part of the game too, to make you think your political party's doing something. It's not. But they're all keeping you on the same level of misunderstanding and believing in false systems like your rigged selections, and never talking about the history of all the admitted weather warfare that's out there. You know what? Occasionally it'll be like 11 p.m. and they'll quickly cover something over 30 seconds. You can't believe they just put it out there, but then it's almost like a mocking in a sense when they do that, because okay, they know nobody's going to pick up on that, but they're going to pick up on the next 23 and a half hours of the same old BS. For the record, this article CNN wrote here about the power of water. That phrase has gematria of 72 like Jesuit order. It also has phrase a gematria of 207 like Jean-Joseph Marie Amiot, who wrote The Art of War. And that's a Jesuit priest, and that was published by the Jesuits right before this nation was founded, the nation that's been at war ever since. Again, you guys, there's a reason that they moved the capital to the Jesuit stronghold from Philadelphia to D.C., where the Jesuits set up camp, and there's a reason they moved Inauguration Day to 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. It goes along with why the first Jesuit pope is the first ever to live in Suite 201, and why the Jesuits were created 201 months after Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses, and why Catherine the Great preserved the order with 201 Jesuit priests, and a million other things, including why weather control in gematria equates to 201. And again, the first act of weather warfare was admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday. And again, the other big Jesuit day is September 27th, the day they were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church to counter the 95 Theses on the day leaving 95 days left in the year. And again, that's when the crazy rainfall stopped in the Carolinas after all these towns get wiped out. And again, because so few people, in reality, it's like the stuff we've done over the last decade has been just simply amazing, you guys. I mean, if you haven't been here, I can't tell you how many times we had the dates circled dead on for when the hurricane was going to land before the media was telling you when, and why it was going to be connected to this sports event. I mean, we've done it 1,000 times. And again, Vice News still has their hit piece up on me on their website. I wait for the day where they take it down. I love how they published it on Joe Biden's birthday once upon a time. But yeah, this was a year after USA Today wrote their hit piece on me. But wacko YouTuber approves World Series was rigged. And again, what this really had to do with was weather warfare and rigged sports. And look how that Castor and Pollux also have to do with sports as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 109. What's going to happen to their stadium on 10/9? We'll see. Where are they going to be playing their football games at the rest of the year? But yeah, it says this video comes courtesy of a guy named Zachary K. Hubbard. That's me. And he is convinced that everything is rigged, which is a lie. But then he goes on to list the things that I do say are rigged. News, politics, the weather, sports. Yep. Those are the rigged things. But then he adds in his own word to be an ass. Everything. No, it's not everything. It might be to you, but that's not everything. Getting down to the brass tacks, Hubbard posits that the Astros World Series victory was foretold by Matt Harvey's start in Houston, and it was. And we did say the Astros were going to beat the Dodgers, which way back then, which just so happened to be the first start after the Houston area was devastated by Hurricane Harvey. That start, coincidentally, was 52 days before the start of the World Series. Hold on to your butts, because we've only just scratched the surface. He quotes me, the reason that matters is because the word flood in Gematria equals 52. Houston flooded on a date with 52 numerology on August 27th, which was the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. It was 27 years to the day of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was remembered for the album Texas Flood. Think about it. Yeah, now think about it. In 2024, when we called the exact same prediction with The Rock being 52, and it lands, and then I noticed after the fact, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about the band The Scorpions with the song Rock You Like a Hurricane, and we noticed that the storm also formed 239 days after the song Rock You Like a Hurricane came out. So we have all the same elements here. And not to mention, for this college football season, we said look for Miami to start 5-0, the Hurricanes, and around that same time, a crazy hurricane to come. Exactly what happened. Same logic, same reasoning, same number patterns. So yeah, Vice News, where's the follow-up? They posted this video making fun of what I said about Joe Girardi, which is also true. It wasn't related to the weather warfare, but yeah, instead of mocking this, I mean, between then, up to now, I mean, the news media should actually be like bringing us on like every week to do another segment, try and wake up the masses to what's actually going on. That'd be some real journalism. The only people who are doing real journalism are independent people like myself, and then we can't get any traction anymore because our channels have been destroyed, deleted, censored, buried in the algorithm. Now every celebrity is posting on YouTube. Everybody just wants to watch celebrities because they're in some kind of spell where they think celebrities are going to tell them the truth. All right, shout out to Open Up. Open Up, you might want to save that money. I know you're down in Florida in case things get crazy in your neighborhood, but I do appreciate your constant generosity. He said, did you notice Baker threw for 180 yards in the Bucs game? Also, after the Falcons won, Cousins number 18 was doing the swag surf dance. Wow. Hurricane Milton. Again, you guys, I mean, that's what we're talking about. Just scripted sports, perfect rituals, perfect box scores. Bucs lost on Thursday Night Football to the Falcons. The Weather Channel, created in Atlanta by CNN, covers nothing but propaganda. Here, let's just pull it up real quick for the disbeliever. And you know what else? In light of Milton equaling 79, we know, again, Tampa Bay equals 79, and we know Cousins just got his 79th win beating Tampa Bay. That's right. Kirk Cousins had 509 yards like Atlanta, Georgia's 59. Now this thing synced up with the 59th mayor, but that game was on the 277th day of the year, the 59th prime. That's why we had Cousins to throw 3 touchdowns in the game. He ended up throwing 4. That's fine. You have him for 3+. It was a nice payout. He got to 200. He actually got to 278 in the regular season, but we had him to get to 277 with 3 on the 277th day of the year. Yeah, Mayfield had 180 total yards, minus the sack, 173 net. Yeah, crazy. Crazy. Yeah, good catch as always, Open Up. Thank you. John Mendoza, always with the generosity. Space Invader says Jupiter enters Gemini in 2025, third time of the new millennium in 24 years since 9/11. Its last time. Kendrick, Trump are Geminis, 2025, 2001 snake years. Yeah, Trump always telling that poem about letting in the snake, right? Interesting. All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. 13 Serpent says, thanks for everything, Zach. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Appreciate that. Gematria is key 1, 2, 3. All the meteorologists online trying to denounce military technology on Milton, saying its strengthening is all natural, and people fall for it. Yeah. And, it just, I remember when I first started, I used to do a lot of videos just sitting in front of my TV and playing like documentary clips or just like playing. When I started this, I lived in the Seattle area and they have Comcast over there. Out here, they have Spectrum. And you know what? Spectrum never offers it, but Comcast had it way back then. Comcast had a thing where you could stop the TV, like the actual cable, and you could rewind. I used to use that all the time because I'd hear things on TV and be like, oh, I got to rewind that and play that back for a video. It's unbelievable. But one of my first videos on my original channel, which was deleted a long time ago, I was just playing a documentary about all of the early news stations and how every original news anchor on TV was military educated. And I was just making a point. You guys, the military runs this nation. I mean, look, you should know that. Every politician, they're always telling you that I'm going to make this cut and this cut and this cut. I'm going to cut this and this. But I'm going to increase the military budget even more. And it's like, I don't know how that's a selling point to voters. What makes you want to go out and vote for that? We already spend way more than like the rest of the world combined. Why do we need to spend even more on the military? And see, when you know what's going on with the military, when you know that 9/11 was one of their operations, the weather is a major one of their operations, you see the tic-tac-toe patterns in the sky every day, you know what's going on. It's like, I don't know why this is a selling point. This whole freedom thing, we need to realize the emphasized part of that word, dumb. None of these wars have made us more free. Not even the Revolutionary War. They all just made us dumber and more enslaved to central bankers. Point blank, period. End of discussion. There is no debate. Your debate's all based in lies and propaganda. None of you guys enlisting for the New World Order military force have helped make the country freer. You didn't just defeat any evil enemies, not even the short mustache man. Nope. Wrong. The most evil military has been right here. You've been a part of it. Making the world less free, less safe. Point blank, period. And everybody should step down from all the militaries of the world. That's what should really happen. Again, militaries are killing machines. That's all they are. And that's the everything every politician's so proud to spend even more money on. And again, we spend way too much in tax money. I see people out here saying, we need more in tax money because we got to get our students smarter so they can catch up with the rest of the world. Those students in China and India and Russia that are taking all the good jobs in the U.S. in the tech areas, all of those countries spend way less per person on education and raise way smarter people, because the difference is we don't need more money for bureaucracy, which is what it goes to in the U.S. What we need is a new curriculum where you don't spend all your time learning about a bunch of bullshit that doesn't mean anything, and instead you learn how to read, write, do math, you learn real science, and you learn how to critically think. That's it. That's all you need. Those things should be a major emphasis. It doesn't take more money. It just takes a better curriculum, less bloated waste time, and also just better use of students' time. As much time as we spend in slave school, 13 years, again, it should be that by the time you hit middle school, you probably know what you want to do with your life. And there should be tailored paths that you can go down. Here, you want to excel in mathematics. You want to excel in language. You want to excel in the sciences. You want to excel in health and nutrition. There should be different paths for people to enter into, just like you're going to college. Instead of just wait, here, we're going to learn about Christopher Columbus again. Here, we're going to tell the story of the Titanic again. We're going to learn about this his story lesson that doesn't matter at all. See, I used to argue. I remember my friend's mom, she'd get so mad because I'd tell her that they should just get rid of history when I was still in school. She'd be like, how can you say that, Zach? History is so important. I'd say, I'm not saying that things that happened in the past aren't important. I'm saying that what they teach us in school is not real. Paul Revere riding through the countryside with his torch on his horse woke up everybody to fight the redcoats. Oh, I'm sure. Here, go get on a horse and ride through the dark, holding a torch, yelling out anything, and see who even wakes up. All of these stories are stupid, and this is what they do to us in America. We spend our time learning stories like this, which are just dumb and pointless and bullshit. And are they teaching you about weather warfare? I mean, that'd be a pretty important thing to know as an American. Then you might actually be informed and realize why you shouldn't be voting for any of these crooked politicians, especially when they're saying they're going to increase the military budget. What, so they can invent a Category 6 storm for next season? I mean, come on. All right. Thanks again. Open up. Again, I hope you are well. And seriously, man, you might want to keep some money for that rainy day fund just in case things get super crazy. I might be joining you next with the mega quake. We'll see. Um, Glad the funds are fine, but you just never know with the crazy times ahead. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, October 9th. Yeah, that is true. The weather warfare is going to land on Yale's birthday. That's a nice touch. That's a nice touch. Let me see if Milton Friedman went to Yale. I don't think he did. I know he's part of the Chicago school, but where else did he go to school? Went to Columbia. Where did DeSantis go to school? Did he? He didn't go to Yale, did he? He did. Oh, wow. Oh, now I'm really seeing it. Ronald McDonald went to Yale. His state's about to get wasted on Yale's birthday. Hmm. What a scumbag. All these people are scum. Yeah, that's not an accident either. He was at Yale while I was at Arizona State. I should have studied harder for the SATs. I might have been able to go to Yale. I didn't take the SATs seriously. I only got a 1200. Didn't study though. Um, yeah, that was a major mistake in hindsight. But I'm not mad I went to Arizona State. It was a good place to be. Got a scholarship there. Um, Thanks again, Sarah. I believe Sarah's down in Florida too. Sarah, aren't you in Florida? If you are, be safe. Is that right? You're related to Kabbalah Harris? Oh no. Life is strange. Oh man. All right, Sarah. Well, hey, you be safe too. I'm pretty sure you are out in Florida, if I remember correctly. Um, well, remember, Yale has 41 secret societies, which is curious because the most infamous one is Skull and Bones. And Skull and Bones, of course, equals 41. Like Papa Bush was number 41. And again, Papa Bush's birthday, June 12th, leaves 202 days left in the year. And he was there in Dealey Plaza when the guy born on the 149th day of the year supposedly got shot in the head. And then his son's birthday is 7/6. And we all know the Georgia Guidestones came down on his 76th birthday on 7/6, which was 201 days after the Pope's birthday, or the 202nd day of the Pope's age. But I don't know if DeSantis was in Skull and Bones. I'm sure he was in one of the secret societies there. I think the other big one is Lock and Key or something like that. And Lock is 41 and Key is 41. But yeah, Yale has 41 secret societies. They have a plaque at the campus. Scroll and Key. That's what the other one's called. Scroll and Key, not Lock and Key. Wolf's Head. That's the other. Those are the three big ones. Scroll and Key and Wolf's Head, and of course Skull and Bones. But yeah, there's literally a plaque at the campus that calls attention to how there's 41 secret societies, and I was like, if only. Well, you know what though? I was loving being at the Yale campus. We went there after we went to New York for 9/11, and man, I remember driving back to New York after Yale had a crazy incident because of how much it was raining, like it was Noah's Ark that day. But talking to those Yale students was nice because they're intelligent. I mean, we didn't have a single bad interaction with a single student on campus. They were listening, asking questions, getting it. The only thing I felt bad about it was right after. Remember how there was the Goatville killings in the Yale neighborhood right after Brady won the Super Bowl there at age 43. Again, American football is credit to Walter Camp, who went to Yale. He was in Skull and Bones. Walter Camp, Yale's 43 like football, like Brady took over the NFL with 9/11 and the Patriot Act, and then age 43 goes down to Florida. And now Florida's about to get smashed 191 days after the anniversary of the death of John Milton, the fifth governor, possibly by a hurricane category 5, but 191 days after his death anniversary, which is the 43rd prime. And it is kind of interesting how he died on April 1st, now that I think about it, because there's that 4/1 thing as well. So, anyhow. All right. I'll leave it there for now. I got to hop over on Patreon for the Sportsaholics. And Frank the Truth Tank always tunes in right when I'm logging off. Frank, you're going to want to rewind this one to the beginning if you got time. But yeah, people in the way of the storm, be safe. If terrible things happen to your property, just remember material things can be replaced. And remember also, if humanity doesn't catch on, it's going to continue to happen to a lot more people and probably a lot more frequently. You know, I've been saying this for a long time. They got plans to take a lot of us out, and weather warfare is, like I've been saying forever, probably their number one way to do it because everyone's just going to think it's nature, and it's not. It's not. All right, True Seeker. Until next time. Thanks to everyone who hit the like and the share and the sub.